Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the InnerViews. France is off to the round of 16, but a date with Argentina awaits. Can they stop Lionel Messi? How will they stop Lionel Messi? And what issues stand in France's way of getting to the quarterfinal? Don't worry, here at the InnerViews, we've got you covered. So on this edition of the InnerViews, we're going to break down three main talking points between France that will help them get past Argentina. France's road to the World Cup begins with Argentina. Argentina present a very difficult game solely because we don't know what to expect from them. Are they going to be really good? Are they going to turn it on in the round of 16? Or are they going to be as bad as they were in the group stage? France will be hoping it's the latter because Argentina have been really poor. And this gives France some breathing room trying to get it right because although the results have been good at the group stage, they haven't been as convincing as those results suggest. We look at their games. Australia, they got a bit lucky. Peru, besides maybe a 10 to 15 minute spell on the counterattack, they didn't really convince. And then when we pour our eyes to Denmark, they did rest players, but still it wasn't good enough. This French side are supposed favorites, but they haven't looked like favorites. And there's a lot of question marks that need to be asked. It starts with the players, it ends with the coach. But a win against Argentina could boost confidence and could guide them in the right direction in terms of being world champions. Now, here at the InnerViews, we're going to break down 3 points that could be integral to that game against Argentina. Number one, how are they going to approach the game? They can obviously dominate possession. We know this Argentine side hasn't been that great defensively, and they could push them and have them sit edge on their box and try and break them down. The question here is, who is going to do the unlocking? That is big because when we look at the final third, they lack an incisive passer, someone who could play balls in behind the defense. It's supposed to be Griezmann, but he hasn't really fit that mold, and we have a lot of questions to ask about Antoine Griezmann, who hasn't delivered on this stage for France yet. He hasn't been able to connect with his teammates. We look at Giroud, for example. They didn't really combine against Denmark, and that's a big worry for Deschamps. He needs to get Griezmann going, and if he does, that could be really big for France. Mbappe is not that type of player. Giroud is good with his back to goal. He could link players. He could link play. He could bring players in with wall passes. We've seen it happen with Pogba's running, with Mbappe's running, Griezmann as well in certain spells. Now you have to look at that because France lack a deep lying playmaker. They don't have anyone in that midfield who can lob balls over the top, control possession, dictate the tempo of the game, and that's a big issue for this French side. They have midfielders of similar roles. Conte breaks up the play. Pogba, Tolisso, Matuidi are all runners. They like to drive forward and dribble and carry the ball, but they don't really retain possession from deep. They don't find those players in pockets of spaces to get them going, and that's a big issue for France. And if they're not going to be able to break them down with incisive passing or getting those Giroud wall passes off because crosses into the boxes haven't been really good from the fullbacks who aren't really getting forward, they're going to have to play on the counterattack. But that's not a bad thing. This French side could sit deep. They could clog space that Messi may want to get into, and we saw how successful this was for Croatia. Sit deep, clog the spaces in midfield, and then use their blistering pace on the counterattack to get them going. Giroud's great with his back to goal. He could ignite the transition, and then look at the options that you have. Dembele, you have Griezmann, you have Mbappe who could break in behind. Pogba's running and dribbling. That is a great way for France to really break down this Argentine side. And if they were to do that and they're able to clog Messi's space, that could be the successful route to the quarterfinals. Now, number two, who's going to start on the left-hand side? We've seen Dembele start there. We've seen Matuidi play there as well. But who's going to get the nod? There are two ways they could go about this. With Dembele, you have the raw speed. He can help with the counterattack. He's so quick, but you need him to score goals or to contribute to goals to justify that decision. We saw him start in the first game with Griezmann, with Mbappe up front, and we thought this would be a devastating attack because they both like to dovetail and interchange positions. However, that's not always good. You need a balance, and that's where Giroud comes in, offering them variety attack with his back to goal, and he could link play. So now you have to think about it. If you bring in Dembele, one, is he going to stop the right back or the right wing back from getting forward so there are no overloads, which are 2v1s down that flank for Argentina? And number two, is he gonna convert when given the opportunity? If not, they could turn to Matuidi, who also likes to charge into those channels with his powerful running, deliver crosses into the box. But the flip side to Matuidi is that he could slide into midfield when France don't have the ball, and he can ensure that he helps out Pogba and Conte clog the space that Messi would love to exploit, and that would be so pivotal for this French side. Number three, are they the real deal? Like, let's break it down. When we look at World Cup sides that have won this tournament, one, good coaching. Two, great defense. Three, experience. Four, leadership. Does this French side have it? Who is their reliable goal scorer? We haven't seen it yet. Who is their leader? We don't really know. Lots of young talent, but who is pushing them forward? Who is, when it really gets tough, when their backs are against the wall, who is pushing them forward? The experience, not that much experience. And do they have what it takes, the drive to push them forward? This is a mental task for France and for the manager. There's a lot riding on this because they're on the tough side of the group. Because if they win this, they play the winner of Portugal and Uruguay, and that's not going to be easier because those are two experienced sides at tournament level, and that's going to be pivotal for this France side. They're going to need to use this to motivate them, to get them going, and this is a great opportunity to start their tournament. The group stage is all about results, obviously just getting over the line, but now is where it begins. This is where we judge the best of the best. A lot of these players in this French side, we could toss in the Mbappes, the Lamars, the Dembeles, the Pogbas, the Griezmanns, lot of big names, lots of hype around them. We see lots of potential, but for them to be the true world beaters that they want to be, they're gonna have to deliver now. But let me know what you guys think. Meet me in the comments below. I upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And that was your daily dose of the interviews.